What's up, running fam? On this edition of Talks with Tiptop, I'm chatting with Andi Catalina. Andi's a 17-time marathoner and high school teacher from Michigan. Andi discusses her plan to run a marathon in every state. How amazing is that? We also talk about what life is like with a running coach and so much more. I hope you enjoy our conversation as much as I did. All right, Andi, thank you for joining with me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
How's everything in Michigan?
Everything is good. We've had some weird weather. We've had some hot weather. We've had some cool weather. The only weather we're not getting right now is rain. So I know my grass is really wanting some rain, but everything's going well. We're slowly reopening due to COVID. It's been a very crazy time. Our gyms still are not open yet. So I know a lot of people are suffering with that, but I'm okay with not having a gym. So
yeah,
all I do is run.
Right.
So yeah. And how are things in Alabama?
Yeah, things are good. Slowly opening back up. Masks have been kind of, places like California have basically made masks a priority, and it's kind of like getting to that point here. So.
Oh yeah, we're not allowed in places here in Michigan without a mask. They'll tell you to go out and get it or do curbside or something. But yeah, we have a very strict governor, and she's really kind of put us under, this lock and key, but it's kept us all safe, and we're one of the healthiest states around right now. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that is a good thing. Yeah, you want to be on that side when it comes to numbers.
Yes. So yeah.
I won't delay. I won't keep you much further here.
Okay.
I guess first thing I'd like to know is, how'd you get into running? Were you running as a young kid, or did you kind of, later in life, did it come to you?
Yeah, so both of my parents were runners, and they would drag me around to their road races when I was a little kid. I want to say, I think my first race, I must have been like 3 years old, and it was one of those like little kid runs, and they all lined us up, and they said, go, and so I went, and then no one was around me, and I stopped, and I turned around, and I started crying, and I ran back to my parents, and so that was probably my first race. But I officially started running when I was about 8 years old. That's when I got my first pair of real running shoes, and I would go out and run no more than 2 miles at that time, and it was usually like the warm up or the cool down with whatever parent at that time was running. So yeah, that's when I started running, and then I ran in high school, and then I ran in college, and then it became marathoning. So yeah, it was.
Did you run?
Yeah, so 30 years I've been running. Yes, I ran. Well, in college I ran competitive, and then I guess high school competitive, but it kind of stopped after that, and I really kind of took a break from wanting to be competitive and run for a certain time. That's just stressful. It's stressful on the mind. It's stressful on the body. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with, I don't really care so much about being competitive as I just, have a bunch of goals I want to accomplish. So.
That's good. Is the 50 states, 50 marathons behind you? Is that one of them?
Yeah, that is my goal. 50 states, 50 marathons. So I've run 17 full marathons. My last one was in February, the Mesa Marathon out in like Phoenix Mesa, Arizona. I was supposed to run the Nashville Marathon at the end of April, but that got canceled due to COVID. So they rescheduled that one for November 20th or 21st. So that would have been number 18 that I was actually supposed to run 4. My goal was to run 4 marathons in 2020 to get me to my 20th marathon by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think that goal is going to happen.
Yeah, it'd be kind of tough now. All the fall marathons are kind of getting canceled, unfortunately. And yeah, unless you're running like 2 in November and 2 in December, or I guess one in December. Yeah.
Yeah. So like if I would have run Nashville in April, I'm running the Tunnel Vision Marathon I'm supposed to be running the Tunnel Vision Marathon. That's out in Washington State in August, mid-August. We won't find out until July if it's gonna actually go, if it's gonna happen. So if that one goes off and I run Nashville in November, I might try to squeeze one in October and get my 20 in. So we'll see. If the one doesn't happen in Washington, I'll get 21 by the end of 2021 will be the goal. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, no one ever, downgraded just running one marathon in the year. So nonetheless, two. So
the most I've done is 3. And I did that, and then I ran one in the beginning of October, and then I ran one in the beginning of November, and so they were only 26 days apart. Wow. So yeah, I don't know why I wanted to run 3 that year, but it always helps if I do one in the beginning of the year, so January or February.
Running 2 marathons 26 days apart, how does that how did you train for that?
Well, I trained for the one that was the first one in October. And then I think I took like a week off, and I just kind of maintained for the next 20 days. Well, not even, because then you kind of taper off. So yeah, I might have done one long run. This was a couple years ago, so I'd have to go really back into my training logs and look and see, but I think I did like one 18-miler like 2 weeks after. I was really sore. I remember running that marathon, and there was I didn't care about time. I just wanted to finish. Sure. And I remember someone saying, "Come on, you can do it. You can do it." And I'm like, "Look, I just ran a marathon 26 days ago." I'm like, "I don't care. I'll walk backwards if I need to." I'm like, "I don't care. I just want to get to the finish." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so good." So, yeah, I just kind of survived through it. So one of the hardest things I think for me is I get the summers off. I'm a teacher, so I get from the middle of June to the end of August off, and I have all the time in the world to run and do whatever I need to do. But man, once school starts back in late August, it feels like I have no time. And so that's kind of where my training suffers, is in like September and October. So I always like to have a good marathon in October. And then I like to take a month off and call it quits and just, really focus on the school year, because usually it can get very overwhelming at that time. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can imagine. And especially during the school year, you're either waking up at 3 a.m. or you're running at like 7 p.m.
Yes. Well, I teach high school, so I'm awake at 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m., depending on the time of year and if we're going to get 8 inches of snow or not, that I have to drive through. Anyways, just to go teach kids, English. So all my running during the school year happens after school. So.
Do you have either a race or a state in mind that you'd like to run that 50th marathon?
You mean the last one?
Yeah.
That would probably be Hawaii.
Okay.
Because I've been to Hawaii and it's beautiful. And I don't know which island I would want to run it on. So I have a while. Like I said, I'm only at 17, so I have some time to plan that out. That or Alaska. So I would just usually a marathon weekend, depending if the race is on a Saturday or on a Sunday, I get there Thursday or Friday, go to the expo the next day, then run the race, and then fly home the next day, So I don't really get to spend a ton of time in whatever city I'm visiting. But I know if I was to run a marathon in Hawaii, I want to add on a 2-week vacation onto that one.
Yeah.
So, same thing with Alaska. I would, definitely take some time and, spend the time, visiting the state and exploring it. So, yeah, I'm thinking Hawaii. Yeah, Hawaii will probably be number 50. And then at that point, I'll be retired in my years of teaching, and I can every day will be a summer vacation for me. So in retirement, but yeah, my goal race is Boston, but I want to do that sooner rather than later. So I just don't know when that's going to happen because of canceling this year's Boston, and then who knows what they're going to do in 2021. So
Yeah, I can imagine when it comes to qualifying for all these kind of races, it'll be interesting this next year.
yeah, so my coach and I are trying to get me in that qualification time for 2021, and I might, I'm going to do it. It's just I don't think I'm going to be able to run the 2021 Boston Marathon, because I just think that because they canceled this one, it's already full for 2021. So
Right.
yeah, so even my Boston goal got put on the back burner because of COVID. So
So when you're training for marathons, and we can even look back to last year when you did 3, how much did you spend time strength training in a week? You spend a couple days doing it, or maybe even just a day?
So so in the summer, I will usually alternate between arms and legs. Arms one day, legs the next day, and then I throw in some abs every day. In the summer, it's so I have a good solid amount of weight training there, and my weight training is no weights or light weights. It's a lot of squats, a lot of lunges. It's very minimal when it comes to like the heavy lifting. I don't do that at all. So, because I don't need to. I mean, all I'm doing is carrying my body weight anyway. So I just want to, lift that plus a little bit more. So I do that, and that's a good, 2 months worth of lifting. And then, like I said, once the school year starts, it's with meetings and teaching and everything else that happens. It's very hard for me to try to find the time to lift. So usually by then, though, I've got a good base, and that can kind of carry me through the next, 6 weeks of whatever I have left before that race. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So so that's kind of where I do my lifting. I try to plank every day. But yeah, so running and planking, that's all I can really find the time to do.
Yeah, exactly. How many, when you do a plank a day, do you usually time yourself, or you try to time yourself, I guess?
So I set a timer for a minute, and then I try to do that at least 3 times, maybe 5 times in a setting. I have 2 golden retrievers, and my one, she's a puppy. She usually likes to, get right in my face, and she kind of destroys my plank, and makes it very frustrating, but she's very sweet about it. So usually 3 to 5 minutes is what I try to plank in a day. So.
Okay. You usually, or have you ever run with your dogs on some shorter runs at all?
When I had one, when I just had Briggs, he would run like a warm up or a cool down with me. But now that I have 2, their body weight added together compared to mine, they would probably, if they saw a squirrel, they would drag me down the road. And so to try to figure out how to share the time with them, it's just easier for me to just go run and, figure out and plan and just be in my own head versus trying to, focus on what these 2 golden retrievers are going to do when we pass somebody or pass an animal. Because I see some animals when I'm running. So
running is already a mental game, sometimes a tough mental game enough. Yeah. Carrying along 2 dogs sometimes can be a little hectic. So
yes. Yeah. So I've considered it. I might, I've seen the leashes that you wrap around your body Maybe I'll invest in those, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of like it for my time. So that's that's my selfish time.
Yeah, I respect that. I just prefer to run solo. Are you one who likes to run? Do you like to run in groups at all, or?
Not large, no, not large groups. But I will run with another person or two people. Usually once we get bigger than that, it just gets really hard. But so I like to do that. I will do that, but I really just prefer to be by myself.
Yeah.
To be in my head, to, think about whatever problems or stresses I have going on in my life, or to celebrate the good things that are happening, or to plan out my day, especially if it's a morning run, to really think about everything that needs to happen that day or that week. Or sometimes I just listen to the music and don't even pay attention to anything that's going on in my head. So
What are you listening to? What kind of, or do you have a preset playlist or?
I do. I have a Spotify account, and I have a marathon playlist, and it has about 8 hours of music on it. So yeah, I will never hear a song again. It's got everything from Eminem to Queen. It's got country. It's got hip hop. It's got everything. So,
you just hit shuffle and let it ride?
Yep, that's exactly what I do. I just hit shuffle and off I go. And if it's a song that I just don't want to listen to at that moment, I fast forward. Or if it's a song that, I really like and I'm going up a big hill and I want to listen to it again, I'll hit repeat. And so, but yeah, it's about 8. I think it has like 7 hours and 57 minutes of music on it. So it's a lot of music, but it all reminds me of a time or a place or a situation. And so it kind of, sometimes even just listening to music just brings me back to a memory, which, can kind of be nice in a nice 12-mile run that I'm, pounding out. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And in that 12-mile run, last thing you realize you're in mile 5, and then, oh, I'm in mile 8 now, and, halfway home and mile 10. So.
Yes. Yeah, most of my runs are out and backs. So, I'll go out, and I always just want to get out there. And then I'm like, once I turn around and I come back, it's, but I just need to get out there. So.
What other tech do you have on you when you're running? Like what kind of watch, what kind of shoes?
So for watches, I wear 2, and I get a lot of comments on Instagram. Why do you wear 2 watches? I have an Apple Watch, and that's what I've always worn. And when Apple Watches became, watches to wear, and then my coach said I should really get a Garmin, so I got a Garmin Fenix 5S, and I really like my Garmin. I can program a workout into it. I can say I want to run a 2-mile warm up. I want to run, for 2 minutes at this pace 10 times, and then a 2-mile cool down, and it'll beep at me. Hey, you're running too fast. Hey, you're running too slow. Hey, you're in the zone. It, counts my recovery. Like I can program a whole entire workout on, and it really, I don't have to think. And that's the nice thing about running, is when I don't have to think about my run,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really don't want to have to sit there and think about my pace. My coach and we've discussed my pace. I plop it into my Garmin. My Garmin tells me if I'm on pace, then I'm fine. Usually I'm not on pace, and so she gets mad at me because I'm running too fast, but it's okay because, I'd rather be running too fast than too slow. So.
What's it like having a running coach?
I like it. She makes me accountable. I'll get into a funk. Usually it's the winter blues. that we get here in the Midwest. I'm sure it happens all over the country, but I know it happens here in Michigan. We just get, it gets gray. We don't see the sun for forever. And it's icy and it's cold and snowy. And the last thing I want to do is go on that treadmill. And, it's dark when I get up and leave for work, and it's dark when I come home, and I just kind of get in a funk, and she kind of makes me accountable and gets my butt out the door, gets my butt on the treadmill. So, I've had her for a couple of years. She lives out in Utah, so it's not like I can sit and have coffee with her and, discuss things. So everything is all over the phone, through email or text message. But it's still nice because she'll text me in the middle of the marathon and she'll be like, "You're doing awesome. Keep it up." She's like, "Slow down. You're going too fast," or, move, get moving. So she, it's a nice thing to have. It's nice to have somebody, supporting you. So, yeah, so she made me get the Garmin, which I'm glad she did. As for my other tech stuff, I use my phone. So I use an iPhone to listen to my music. I use AirPods. I'm a big Apple person. So, and I wear Brooks shoes. So I wear the Ghosts, and they're the 12s. I'm in currently the 12s right now. So that's all that I wear for running. So, oh, and sunglasses if it's sunny outside.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Got me thinking on a couple questions here. I guess the first one, would you recommend someone who maybe doesn't have a running coach, who similar to you, maybe run like plenty of marathons, maybe plenty of halves? Like, is that something that you would recommend? Maybe going and finding a coach.
I think first of all, someone that is wanting to run a marathon, or maybe he's run a couple of marathons and is considering a coach, I think they should think about what kind of goals do they want? Because a coach is going to ask, what do you want to do? Do you just want to finish? Do you want to run for a time? What is your goal? And if you don't have a goal, then you don't really need a coach, right? I mean, if you just want to run, then go run. But if you have a goal, and I have a few different goals, at least that's when a coach, I think, comes in handy, because you can bounce ideas off of each other, and, they can guide you, and you can tell them, hey, this isn't working for me. And then they can, adjust your schedules. So I think it depends on what the person wants, when it comes out of their race. If they actually want, to accomplish something besides just a finish, because that right there, that's an important goal, to finish. But if they don't want to get a time, or they don't want to try to qualify for a race, then I would read some books, and I would listen to my body, and I would, get my research in and just go from there. But I don't think you need a coach just for finishing. So you might need some support from friends. But yeah.
Brooks shoes, are those, have you always run in Brooks, or have you bounced around?
I was an Asics girl for the longest time, and then they changed their shoe. I was in the Nimbus, and I don't know how many years I wore that shoe. I loved that shoe. And then they changed the upper, and I hated it. I usually change my shoes every 300 to 350 miles. I think I ran about 150 miles in that shoe, and I said, I can't do it anymore.
Wow.
I can't. I don't know what they did with this shoe, but I don't like it. So then I went to my foot doctor, and he's like, try the Brooks, get the Ghosts. You'll like them. So I went, and I think I left his office, and I went right over to the running store, and I tried on some Ghosts, and I got a pair of Ghosts, and I think this is like my 5th pair of Ghosts that I've been in. So I really like Brooks, and they've done a really nice job with the Ghost. I'm really nervous if they change it, the 12 to the 13, if they're going to, I don't like it when they change shoes.
Yeah. It always makes me nervous a little bit when they brand the changes.
So, I mean, if Asics wouldn't have changed that shoe, I probably still would be in an Asics shoe, but because they did, I can't, it did not fit well on my foot. So
do you have a couple pairs of your Brooks Ghost that maybe you save that pair for like the longer runs, and then the other pair you just run and you got one pair of shoes right now?
I have one pair. I usually so like my last Ghost, I have them. I really won't want to run in them, but if mine got super wet and they didn't dry out in time, I do have my old pair, but no, I just run in one pair. I wear them to the ground, and then I buy a new pair. I've tried some like racing flats, and I have to wear an orthotic when I run. I can wear a neutral shoe, but I do need to wear an orthotic, and those do not fit well in racing flats. They're very uncomfortable. So I think for me, and the miles I'm putting on it and the training and stuff, the weight of a Ghost is, I'll take that weight of the shoe versus, something lighter, like a racing flat. That did not mesh well with my running form. So, nope, one pair of shoes, wear it out, and then buy a new pair. So.
Okay. It works.
Yeah.
After you've, all right, splurge meal, runners got to eat after, you complete a marathon or even heck, just like a long weekend run. Do you have like a go-to meal?
Yeah. Beer and pizza.
Any kind of pizza?
What kind?
Yeah. What kind of pizza?
Well, I have a very interesting diet. I do not eat dairy and I do not eat meat. So it's usually just, unless it's a pizza place that has vegan cheese, and then usually it's a cheeseless vegetable pizza with onions and mushrooms and olives and whatever other kind of vegetable I can possibly find, but and a beer. So
no better meal.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Said no better meal.
Yeah, so it's been interesting. Usually after my marathons, I go out and I get tacos. That's kind of been another thing that I'll go out and eat. I'm guessing I want that salt from the chips and the salsa and the guacamole. That'll be, I've done that too. So I've gone out and got tacos and chips and salsa. But I usually crave pizza and a beer. So.
Some things that I always like to ask just some people. What is like something that you've learned about yourself in your running journey?
To never give up, but it's okay to take a break or to slow down or to step back, but to just, move forward, even if it takes you a little bit longer, then that's okay. And so I've kind of used that, maybe an injury that I've gotten or COVID-19 really ruining my running goal for 2020. It's okay. I will still get all those marathons in. It'll just take me a little longer, and that's okay. So I've learned to kind of accept that, challenges happen, and to just take a deep breath and look at the bigger picture, and I will be able to get through this. So that's kind of where running has, let me look at other obstacles in my life, from relationships to, jobs to whatever, it will be okay. So
it's a great metaphor. Running's a great metaphor for life. So
yeah, no. And I didn't always think like that, you know. It took me to my adult years to be able to, you know, accept running, you know, how I accept it now when I, you know, versus when I was 15 or when I was, you know, in my early 20s. So,
And then just another kind of just deep question I like to ask folks. What's something that you might be struggling with, or maybe you've been improving on, but something that you just really want to get better at?
I really want to get better at right now with what I'm doing with my running is pace. I really want to, you know, I just want to be able to find that pace and just know it and just run it and feel good about it. Like I said, my coach, she'll text me and be like, you ran great, but you ran too fast. And I don't, that's, you know, that's not really what I want to be doing. I don't really want to be running that fast. So that, and another thing that I struggle with is when I get, I guess, depressed or, you know, I just kind of get in a slump, running is not something I turn to, which is weird because running makes me feel better. But when I am just not in a positive mindset, that's the last thing I want to do is lace my shoes up and go out and run. So those are kind of the two areas that I really need to focus on. Obviously, right now, I have no problem putting my shoes on and going out and running. Like, that's how I start my day. I get out of bed, I feed the dogs, and I get my shoes on and I go. But now I just need to I really want to focus on my pacing. So, and really just kind of zone in on what I should be running.
I think both of those are great answers. I think and those are things I think a lot of people could say themselves they would need to work on as well. I know I do definitely need to work on both of those. And then finally, I guess the last question here, advice to those who, okay, yeah, sure, COVID-19 is going on, so we're all kind of training for the marathons next year. But for those who want to sign up for the marathon, but maybe a little tentative to not, maybe, I don't know, I want to say like put in the work, but at least like, dang, 26 miles is far. What advice would you pass along to them?
Start slow, start with 5K, go from a 5K to a 10K, go to a half marathon, and then find a race, find a marathon you want to do, either in your local city or make it a traveling experience and, make it fun. And then take the 18 weeks, or whatever training program that they're going to pick and, take it, follow it, do the research behind it. But then the biggest thing is listen to your body, because your body is the first thing that's going to tell you, hey, help, I'm injured, rest me. So, I would just, small baby steps, and then those baby steps will lead you to that ending goal. So if someone who's never really run before and wants to get into it, start slow, and then research and find a training program that, you think that they could fit into their lifestyle, because it is 18 weeks and they have to know that that's a commitment and they have to make that commitment. And with it, their diet and, drinking habits, everything is going to change. So I would just say to somebody, know what you're doing, find the race you want to do it, and then work for it. But then, know what has to go into doing that kind of work. So it's a little harder for me. Like I said, I've run 17 marathons. For me, training for a marathon, I'm always training for a marathon. There's never a day that, or a week or a month really, that I'm not training for another marathon. So it's very easy for me to just, it's hard to think back to when I was 17 marathons ago where I was, but I would just say, yeah, find a program or find a coach and, make that commitment.
Thank you again, Andi, for joining me. And if you'd like to give Andi a follow, scroll down to the episode notes below. Make every day a masterpiece. Don't limit yourself. And remember, every day is a good day to run. I'll see you out on the road.